recorded a video yesterday and went to go edit it and realized I still had my low light settings on, so there I couldn't even edit it to even save the footage. So I didn't feel like re-recording it yesterday, so here we are this morning. My student's taking a 30-minute break. I am still in the sleeper, and we're gonna go ahead and re-record the video. So I'm trying to even remember the topics I talked about. Oh yeah, so last week we were in California. On my last video, we were in California. We took a load over to Florida, across the I-10, and I ended up having to drive through Hurricane Sally. Hurricane Sally was about 50 or 60 miles off the coast, something like that. So we got some pretty heavy rain, about 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts, stuff like that. It was a little bit of a challenge there for about 2 or 3 hours, but I was able to make it through safely. So we actually ended up having a pretty good week. So we went from California to Florida, Florida to Georgia, Georgia to Illinois, Illinois back to California. Now we're on another California load heading up to Wisconsin. So we ended up actually having a pretty good revenue week, and that's good. I was able to get my fuel rankings. So here at Prime we have something called the fuel rankings. This is something I know a lot of drivers don't really pay attention to it, but I do, because that's the one expense that I can control. So usually I was, as a team truck, we were getting solo to solo loads for the majority of my students training, and I hovered around the the top 15 to top 20. It kept fluctuating on the weekly basis. Like, I know I was feeling optimally, but it wasn't. I felt like we weren't getting enough miles. So I had to talk to my fleet manager as well as the supervisor. Gave them the data that I have as far as my revenue goes, and it looks like I was right in my assumption that we were far under revenue for a team truck. Operations manager said that as well. And so now I'm on, now the operations supervisor is watching my revenue for the next couple of weeks. He already told me that there was no way for me to, I guess even back out for the remainder of the year because our revenue was so low. But, even though, and then this goes to me as an operator personally, even though the revenue was low, it's not like I was, not making money. Like, I was still making money to me, I guess I'm just really good at saving money now. So it's not, it didn't really bother me that much. I just understood I wasn't making the revenue that I felt like I should be making. And for, someone from the higher up to agree with me. And now we're in the situation now. So last week, they actually fixed that. The revenue was there, the miles were there. And now on my fuel rankings, I'm top 5. I think I'm number 5 for the past week in my fleet. And for the past month, I think I'm ranked 3. And the past 2 months on my board, I'm ranked 4. So not, just that 1 week of actually running team miles and, me still fueling my truck the way that I do. To me, that's a big thing. That tells me that it really wasn't just, me not fueling correctly, but, just the fact that we just weren't getting enough miles. So I'm glad I was able to sit down and talk with my fleet manager and supervisor. And I will say that if you find yourself in that position, now I'm not saying, if you're a solo truck and you're getting, you're getting the appropriate, like, it has to average out. So if you're making around average, still talk with your fleet manager if you explain to him that you want to make a little bit more. But in my terms, like, if you feel like you're not making enough and you're good with numbers, then sit down, take a look at your settlements, compare the numbers. If you have a network like I do, I talk with a couple other Prime drivers, a couple other Prime trainers, and I know them on a personal basis as well as a business basis. So we sat down and actually talked about, compared our numbers, and that's how I realized that I was below average instead of just looking at my numbers. So if you're able to do that, you know, I would go ahead and do that if you're able to. So in my case, that fixed my problem. You know, of course, now, you know, just in that 1 week, I basically doubled the revenue I was making before in just that 1 week, to, you know, just to further prove that it really wasn't me. You know, it wasn't a problem that I could fix on my own. Is really just the loads that we were getting. Now, again, if you need to have a talk to your fleet manager, make sure that you have data to back it up. You know, I did, and that's why communicating with the Qualcomm is so important, because, you know, even in that meeting, you know, there was a little bit of a lashback, if you so to speak, on like me turning down some loads and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when the supervisor pulled up my number and looked up the loads that I turned down, and, you know, I didn't even have to explain why I turned them down. He was able to look at the load that I turned down and justified it, you know, with my fleet manager. And it ended up, you know, just ended up being an issue where we weren't getting, you know, the loads, and I communicated that with my fleet manager 4 times over the past year via Qualcomm. So it is documented in the system. So that's the only way that this turned out favorable favorable to me, because I was able to present the issue and prove it. You know, if you have one bad week, of course you can't call up and say, hey, I want a new fleet manager. That's not how it works. You know, I've been kind of in this teaming situation for about at least 80% of the years with the numbers that the supervisor came up with. I've been a team truck for at least 80% of the year, and if you look at my numbers, you can see that basically the operations supervisor looked at my numbers and said, it looks like I've been solo all year. My numbers match a average solo driver, and which I agree with him, you know. But again, I'm good with money, so it's not a huge deal for me. I just know I wasn't making what I could be making. So then we're getting that fixed. Like I said, we're on another long haul load, which is, you know, pretty good for me. I'm actually starting to use my drive clock a lot more, which is good. We're actually able to chase recaps. Usually I'm getting, or we both are getting, you know, anywhere between 1 to 3 34-hour resets every single week. So now, you know, we're finally able to run off recaps. So me and my student are actually pretty low on hours, but not too low to where we're out. We're just running 1 day at a time recap. And you guys know what recaps mean. But yeah, enough about that. And then also I mentioned on my video last week that I was going to tell you guys who I met. I actually met Married to the Miles here, not here, but in the Fontana Yard in California last week. And the reason that was so important to me was because actually, well, we were able to talk for a little bit, but we both had some running around to do, so we couldn't, you know, sit down and have a full conversation. But watching Married to the Miles videos before I came to Prime actually inspired me to create a YouTube channel. So just to meet your inspiration, you know, whatever your hobby might be, but just to meet your inspiration to, you know, for you to do something, I think that was a big deal for me. You know, we exchanged Instagrams, and we talked for a little bit, but that was really a big moment for me to be able to meet the person who helped me be where I am today. So I thought that was a really cool thing. So Married to the Miles, Mo, shout out to you, your beautiful wife, and I hope to see you out here at least another time, so we can actually sit down and have a full conversation. But yeah, that's gonna be it. It's just really a check-in video on my, you know, driving through my hurricane experience. Like, you know, when I was a solo company driver last year, I drove through two tornadoes and slept through one. But a hurricane obviously is a lot different than a tornado. So yeah, that's it. I was just coming to check in. I'm trying not to make my videos longer than like 12 to 15 minutes, you know, even though I can. I'd just rather have shorter videos. So this is just a little check-in video. I'm gonna finish up my sleeper berth here, you know, have him finish up his break. We can go ahead and continue on down the road, and then I will check in with you guys. You know, it looks like I'm switching over to day shift again, so maybe on my 30-minute break, I'll probably record another video. I'm gonna try and record another video. Let's see how I feel. But until the next time, y'all be safe and y'all keep it in between the lines, of course. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.